line, and people was cheering, and there were barricades, and it was all where people couldn't get out and really grab the emperor, touch him, and everybody was looking there, and everybody was there, and there was also, usually in these type of parades, they had set up a special platform, and on this special platform was his family, his wife and his children, and they were to see the emperor as he marched by and waved at him. And so the emperor had a small son, a small child, and as the emperor came by, this little boy jumped off the platform and scooted and burrowed his way through the legs of the guards and through the crowd and tried to dodge between the legs. He wanted to get to the emperor. And one of the guards caught him before he got to the emperor, scooped him up in his arms and asked him that, hey, you know, you can't do that. You just can't run out and grab the emperor, run out and do what you're doing. Don't you know that that's the emperor? Don't you know that's the king? Don't you know he has power and majesty, and you can't just run out and be on his chariot? And the little boy looked at the guard with the snickle and covered his mouth and whispered in his ear and said, he might be your emperor, but he's my father. And this is the relationship, my brothers and sisters, that we should have with God. Yes. He is our father, but he is still the emperor. He is still the powerful one. And we must never forget that. He is my father. And that is the way the Christian feels towards God. In spite of all the power and the majesty, Jesus taught us to understand that he is still our father. And that we can always turn to him in time of need. But there's also some problems with that, we'll see later on. Now, so far, my brothers and sisters, once again, we've been looking at this word father. So we got this personal relationship of our father. But now we must get to the second part. We must always remember also that God is not only our father, but he is our father who is where? In heaven. He is our father who is in heaven. The last words of primary importance, my brothers and sisters, because they conserve two great truths. So we want to dissect this prayer. I want you to understand what you're saying when you're saying our Father, who art in heaven. What does it do? They remind us when we say in heaven of the glory and the holiness of God. It is very easy for us to cheapen and to misalign this whole thing of an idea of the fatherhood of God and our personal relationship, and to make an excuse of an easygoing, comfortable religion. Christianity is not an easygoing, comfortable religion. And my brothers and sisters is really saying, I've heard it cheapened so many times by not only laymen but preachers alike. How many times? I don't know whether you've heard it, but and I have to cringe when I hear people say in this 20th century, my dad. You've heard that? They've called God the Father. My dad. My dad will do this, or my dad will do that. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know about you, but to me, that insults God. My dad. You're taking the creator of all things, the sustainer of the universe, and you bring him down to the level of your dad on earth. He is not your dad. Our dad, which in heaven. How did that sound? Our dad. He is our Father. Father says something, my brothers and sisters. It's not just a word. Christ taught us to say, our Father, And that was all. And he stopped there. Now, there may be some excuse for us trying to put God on the same level as our earthly father, but I don't think there can ever be an excuse for that. But he didn't stop there. He said, "Our Father who art in heaven, to whom we pray." There's a difference. The love is there, but also you must always remember to keep the holiness and the majesty of that Father who art in heaven. If we look closer at the sin of Jesus, my brother and sister, we will see that he seldom even himself used the word Father in regards to God. As personal as it was and as personal as we make it, it's something that we don't cheapen or just say to be saying it. In Mark's gospel, which is considered to be the oldest gospel and is therefore the nearest thing, I believe, that we'll ever have to an exact report of all the things that Jesus said and things that he did. And even in Mark's gospel, Jesus, Yeshua, only called God Father 6 times. And never outside the circle of his disciples. When he said it, it was always within that tight-knit circle. So the word Father, even to Christ, was sacred. That's what I'm trying to show you. Our Father is a sacred word. And Christ could hardly bear to even say it. So we must be very careful when we say our Father and how we say it. My brothers and sisters, it's not something that we just do lightly. Let's start taking this thing very seriously. Or we're going to be in trouble. We take the things in Christianity lightly, we're going to be in trouble. We come along in the 20th century and want to change the name of our father to our dad. I don't understand it. These are things, my brothers and sisters, to me, which cheapens and lowers the majesty of God. God, Yahweh, I want you to understand, is not an easy parent. He's not a parent who tolerates a lot of junk and a lot of stuff. God says things that he means, and he means things that he said. My brothers and sisters, this God, Yahweh, whom we call our Father, is a God whom we must still approach with reverence and adoration and awe and wonder, even when we say our Father. When I say our Father, I still awe at the fact of who he really is, that he allows me the pleasure and the privilege of calling him Father. This great God, this creator of the universe, this great God who sustains everything there is, this great God who put together one of the most intricate bodies, they put together the most intricate things that ever existed, timely the way it is, allows me the privilege of saying our Father. But I must never forget who he is. I was never cheapen who he is.